Was there any? Was there well. Three sides out there.
Conversation on the outside.
Okay, we're gonna get started. So since tonight's election night, I'll get you guys started off. Call the meeting to order. It's 5:30. We've got actually everyone here, so I said no one wants to be chair this time, so see how that shakes out. Meetings, it's been posted. Approval of agenda, motion? Anyone?
That we approve the agenda.
I'll second it.
Favor?
Aye.
All right, now the fun part. Any nominations for a new chair, for a continuing chair?
I nominate John Clare for chair. Second that.
Do we have one more here? I'll move the nominations to be closed.
I would like to. Can I nominate or who's not second yet?
Who seconded that?
Mary did.
Did that so quick.
Okay, so we have nomination, second for John.
Nominate Dave Turk.
We have a second for Dave.
I'll second that.
All right, so we got John and Dave. Any other nominations?
I should have seconded it.
Okay. We'll do some ballots. That's okay with you guys. Unless you wanna, want someone to accept the nominations.
Turn that to voice. Down.
How many meetings we do ballots for elections, so.
What was the chair?
He was.
Was, yeah, that's right.
Okay. So your choices are John or Dave for chair, if you wanna.
Yeah.
Choice. Oops, sorry. Thank you.
You need 3 days to tally these?
It's in California.
This was running.
I guess tell you.
Is there a mail-in option?
Yeah, there's, yeah.
We'll have the final vote next month.
Okay.
It's like the fan on here blowing well.
Yes.
Just barely, I think I got it.
5-4, right? Yeah. 5 for John, 4 for Dave.
Yeah.
All right, meeting's all yours.
All right, election for vice chairman. Do you have any nominations?
Nominate Dave Turk.
I'll second it. Have a nomination and second for Dave for the vice chair position. Any other nominations?
I move that we close the nominations.
I'll second that. Okay, we have a motion and second to close nominations and cast a unanimous ballot for Dave. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Minutes from the May 11th meeting.
Okay, I found 3 misspellings, 3 places, 2 in
in section 7 and one in section 9, where the word for, from got changed to form. Presumably, not a typing error, autocorrect error. Should be corrected before it's approved.
Okay, is that a motion for approval with those corrections?
Yes.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's carried. Public comment? Have no public?
Interestingly enough, the gentleman that, I use that word lightly, who invented autocorrect, died recently, and the funnel will be tomato.
That's how that. All right, staff report.
All right, don't have a whole lot to report, but we did a check this morning and we have 1,889 current members, which is really good for summer. Hoping that holds up for the summer, but this is one of the higher totals we've had so far in the summer. We'll see how that holds up. Typically we drop down to around 1,600 or so during the summer, so we'll see where that goes. Of those, 1,203 are 12-month annual members, so that's been a really good trend. More people, again, are continue to sign up for longer terms, showing that they're more confident in the Symons speed round. So we did have, if you remember, our 7th and 8th grade free membership that we got from the Packers Foundation grant. We did have 18 kids sign up so far, so that's been a good sign up so far. Actually, we've noticed quite a few younger kids have been there the first couple of days of summer, so that's been good. See, other than that, that's about all I've got. Anything?
I just wrapped up 7 days of lifeguarding classes. The outdoor pool now has the most staff they've ever had. They've got 30 lifeguards. So ran some trainings for obviously us, and then the outdoor pool, and then just other local pools. Summer at Symons, so we have Ithaca starting their summer school program. They started today, so they'll be there for the next it's 2 to 3 weeks. And of course, we have our regular swim lessons, and then just got a report on swim team. They had 93 kids.
Oh my gosh.
So 2 years ago, I think when we kind of first came, it was about 50-ish. Last year was about 70, so now they're at 93. And honestly, that'll probably even go up. It usually does as the year, first couple of weeks. We had people signing up even on Friday still, so that's really good. It's a busy place. You always think it's gonna slow down in the summer, but it almost like picks up with bodies, so it's very busy. Gym's been in use. The kids, when they're not swimming, they're coming and going from the gym area, so like that's been a pretty popular place, but yeah, it's been busy.
Awesome. Anything else? Al?
Just expand a little bit on what I reported last month. We're working on the fall social plans are coming together for that. We're decided today that you're gonna see some advertising on the digital board across from McDonald's. Once we get closer to that, so to try and both, there's a lot of broad community support for Symons, and last year for our fall fundraiser, our letter or our campaign targeted primarily members. We're going to try and reach out to the broader community by using the digital signboard as part of our advertising campaign. So hopefully we'll do a little better this year. We'll see what happens. And Culver Share Night is this Wednesday, 4 to 8 p.m. So y'all are invited.
Okay, moving on.
This Wednesday, June 10th, 4 to 8 p.m. For the foundation, yes. Yeah, we get a percentage of sales.
Okay, action items. Complex strategic plan.
All right, necessarily need to take action on this, but we've been wanting to get started on a strategic plan for Symons. We're going to be starting that this fall is what we're planning. So we're working right now on the getting timeline and everything to you, but wanted to let you know that this will be highly public participation. So we're going to be sending out surveys to staff and members, probably October-ish sometime. We'll talk about it as we get a little closer. So we'll have surveys to members and staff, and we'll follow it up with a public meeting so that non-members will be able to provide input as well from the community. And then we'll have take some input from the Symons Foundation as well as this board as we get into finalize it. So we're hoping in early 2027 we can have a strategic plan out there. By then, we're hoping we'll have a little bit more information on where we're going to be and what's going to happen with all the funding, with the city, with the county, with the school district, and we'll have a few better ideas that way. But start to think about some ideas you want to see in a strategic plan. We've been run assignments for quite a few years, but we need one to kind of let people know where our direction is, what our mission is, and kind of how we're going to move forward here. Again, as we learn a little bit more about what's happening around us, we'll be able to finalize that a little bit more. But again, this will be highly public participation, getting those surveys out, getting those public meetings out as well. So again, early 2027, we'll have the strategic plan ready and have a little better direction.
Any questions? Okay, leasing versus purchasing future equipment replacements.
So in your packets, you had just one sample from Johnson Fitness is one of the fitness places we work with, but so there's a couple of different leasing programs out there. We've been talking with the foundation over the last couple of months about the potential of possibly leasing equipment. We've got quite a bit of older equipment. We've been able to replace quite a bit of it with the foundation's help over the last couple of years. But one thing that we did kind of look into is leasing a little more advantageous for us with the amount of equipment that we have that is older. The amount of maintenance that's needed on that equipment is a big one, and then the cost of disposing of that equipment once we do replace it. As we found out, replacing a treadmill for the company to take it away, they usually charge us about $200 for them to take it away. We don't like to throw things in the junkyard, but really there's not much we can do with some of these older pieces of equipment. This does have some benefits. There are more benefits. A lot of it is tax benefits because we're tax exempt. We don't have that benefit as part of leasing. We discussed that some of the foundation. But one of the biggest advantages for leasing for us would be getting more newer equipment at once, and being able to upkeep that a little bit better with not having the staff to do that. Of course, that's not. There are cons to it as well. There are pros and cons to anything. A lot of chain fitness places do leasing. Basically, not a lot of places do that. Don't have the staffing that want to keep more newer equipment out there. Not saying it's the best thing for Symons, but it's one thing if we do go that route, or if we do want to go that route, the leasing contract would be held by the county or by Symons by the county, and it'd have to be an MOU with the foundation if the foundation we're going to contribute towards those costs. So before we move any further looking at this, and again, we looked at this a couple of times, talked about this at a couple of meetings with the foundation. Before we go any further with it, we want to see if it's something that you're interested in first before we spend any more time on it. And if there's any questions that you have, concerns that you have about leasing regarding outright ownership, I'd like to get those kind of out before we do any more work on this.
What's your recommendation?
I think for our situation, I mean, personally, I don't know how Kyle feels for sure, but I think for us, I think leasing is a little better option just because we can do more at once. And we've got so much equipment that is in need where we could get, for example, $50,000 worth of equipment right now, rather than saying, okay, go to the foundation, maybe we can get 10,000 this year, and maybe 6 months down the road, we can another 10,000, eventually replace 1 or 2 meters here and there. Plus, probably even more important is having that, if something breaks down, it's covered, like the warranty and everything, so we don't have to worry about the warranty and the getting fixed and things like that. At the end of the term, whether it's a 3-year or 5-year term, we have the option, depending on what program we pick, we have the option of keeping it for $1 or whatever. We can keep it ourselves, or we can turn it in and replace it with a new piece, brand new piece. And every couple of years, we come up with new technology, and so there's newer equipment anyway. So that gets us that newer equipment quicker. I don't know if you have any opinions.
I mean, yeah, money was gonna cost for sure, leasing is the way to go. I mean, it's a little pricey, but there's very big benefits to it. I think you can at least
Also,
get the ball rolling, saying that it would be okay. That would be the best probably action to go.
if it didn't work out in the long, you can always go back over it.
And we will still own, I mean, because the foundation has purchased quite a few pieces already that are essentially new still. I mean, we will still own some pieces. Sure. Actually, we'll own still a lot of equipment. Weight equipment we own. This is mostly like cardio and some cable machines. Possibly.
Dave, question?
Yeah. Would there be certain machines that would make more advantageous to lease as opposed to others, or?
Certainly, I think like Kyle was saying with the cardio, the treadmills, the pieces with motors and running pieces like that, those wear obviously much quicker than like the weight machines, the cable machines, that type of thing.
So potentially you could try it out with a few pieces and see how that works, and if it works great, expand it later.
Yeah, and some of the circuit training equipment isn't really accessible for the elderly population. So I mean, a couple of the land exercise instructors explained that to me. And so I mean, I think there'd be a desire to replace a lot of the circuit training equipment. And, to replace all that, I mean, it would be a very visible change in the room. One thing I'd like to point out here to everyone, just so you can understand the math on this. Like $50,000 worth of equipment, that's like $10,000 a year over the 5-year lease. The cost of the foundation would be $17,500. So it's, from a financial point of view, it would probably make more sense to own, but the maintenance and repair, if that's covered under that deal, then it's could be pretty good. I mean, I just want, make sure everyone understands the math on this. And for me personally, foundation had 1 really good year of fundraising. And I would feel much more comfortable going forward if we had all the money in hand, pay for 5 years worth of leases before we make the commitment to do it. Not trying to be, get ourselves in a situation where, okay, we've got to raise the money and all of a sudden something happens in the economy, goes really bad, or there's, a lot of negative sentiment or whatever. I would just personally feel more comfortable if the foundation had the money in hand before we did anything.
Right now, we don't have any huge pressing needs for replacement, like we mentioned, Kyle mentioned to the foundation earlier. We could, unless we get some weird thing, we got a couple of pieces that could be replaced now, but they'll be fine. We could go through the end of the year and not have to worry about replacing necessarily. So it's nothing that needs to be decided, right now or anything. And it's just something where we kind of want to see what direction you guys kind of want to go as far as leasing or ownership in the future. Maybe trying something early next year, something like that.
Aaron?
Yes, do they have like minimums? Dave mentioned, start with a couple of pieces and then add to it. I mean, I see they're talking 50,000. Is there like different levels that you can buy?
I'm not aware that they have a minimum. I think they'll work with you with just about anything.
Okay.
How many different outfits? Right?
I'm not sure. They're, the 2 that we got information back, they were very similar, was Johnson and the other one was Summit.
Yeah.
So Johnson and Summit are the 2 we work with, but I noticed that they both use Geneva capitals. They're very similar programs. I'm assuming there's other ones out there, and obviously we do a search for the best rates and everything.
So what are our feelings? We want to hold off for a little bit?
Does this help us towards becoming more financially independent from city and county?
I wouldn't say that, I don't think, but I can't see that it could. Right now, we don't have anything in our budget for replacing equipment. We've been, the last couple of years, the foundations replaced several pieces of equipment for us. We don't have anything in our budget, so if the treadmill goes out, we either have to go out and get donations ourselves or go to the foundation and ask for donations. We don't have anything built into our budget right now, so it doesn't necessarily help us down the road in the future. More than likely, I would assume that that's gonna continue for at least the near future. You're gonna need that help, support where, you know, our money's gonna have to continue going towards utilities and staffing and, you know.
But newer equipment certainly brings in fine
It
help.
definitely brings in more people, yeah, and that's one of the, after the locker rooms and some of the other complaints, that's one of the higher complaints too, or has been, I mean, since the last couple of years, we haven't been able to replace quite a bit of the foundation, but that was one of the big things we were hearing from a lot of people, is that it's so much cleaner at 14 or Anytime Fitness, or just the equipment is a lot newer, it doesn't have rust on it. We had a lot of pieces of rust on that, Kyle's been able to get rid of most of it. So yeah, I mean, just even if the piece is, you know, works perfectly fine, but it's got a little bit of rust on it, it turns a lot of people off, obviously, so.
Any other questions, comments? Would you like to make a motion in one direction or another?
I move that we explore the possibility of leasing equipment.
Second,
Second.
motion in a second, any further discussion?
That would be led by the staff.
Yes. Thank you for clarifying.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried. Potential plans for inclusive fitness playground.
Sorry. So if, you remember that a couple of years ago, we had an offer from a donor that I worked with in Baraboo, that offered the city or county, offered us $200,000 to put in an inclusive playground here, which we don't have one in the county right now. They've been pretty big. Put these in your packet. You've got a couple of examples. But what an inclusive playground is it's basically, they're designed to allow both disabled individuals to play alongside of other individuals who have been placed alongside together. They're poured in place rubber surfacing, so you can get wheelchairs over them easily. And the equipment is designed in such a way with ramps and whatever else, so that kids or adults with any kind of disability can get on them just as easily, and they can kind of play together. They've been pretty big in parks for the last probably 5 to 10 years. They've been going in a lot. This particular donor only donates towards inclusive playgrounds. They've been doing it in Dade County and Sauk County for years. They contacted me when I moved here, and they said they'd like to do a project here. So initially, I talked a little bit with Candace about it back when I first came, and we really didn't have an option. Of course, the campus, there was a lot of redevelopment talks going on there, so we really didn't have a place there. There aren't any really good spots in any county parks. So we put them on hold in 2024. We got in contact with them in 2025. They made the offer again. And Ashley from the city administrator had contacted me and said, the city's actually been, the ADA committee's been talking about it a little bit. So she had me come to the ADA committee, talk to them a little bit about what an inclusive playground is and a little bit about this offer that we had. At that time, she said that the city doesn't have the match because we needed a match for it. So went back to the donor and told we don't have a match for that yet. And I talked with Steve a little bit, Steve with the school district, Steve Board, and with their acquisition of Melville Hall, which should be happening this year yet, they're looking at putting a playground behind Melville. And so I asked him if he would be interested in partnering with a kind of a combination inclusive playground. in that location at that time he was. It's a little bit more money than what they were thinking. So I don't know if that's gonna work out. I don't know if the donor yet is interested in that. They typically like to work with municipal or public playgrounds, just for accessibility throughout the day, so. So anyway, basically, we've got this $200,000 donor. They'd like to have a $100,000 local match. I haven't started working on any local matches yet or anything. Basically, what we're looking at is if we do something at Symons, we have had a couple of people ask about outdoor fitness equipment. So we do basically an outdoor fitness playground. So we have the accessible surfacing, and then it would be some of the fitness equipment, but outdoors. If we were going to do that, something like that, then we need to make sure that the county knows. The county has talked about some parceling for the school district, some for Symons, some for other development. I know Dave had worked with someone getting making sure that Symons has some possible space for future addition, or it could be a fitness playground or something like that. But we should kind of get some direction out there. If this is something that you're not interested in, it's something that I'll continue to work with the donor on. If there is an option in the city or the county in the future, or some other municipality in Richland County, we don't have a whole lot of options there. Sloan Ryan wants to put something in there. But I'd like to get one in the county eventually. But if it is something right now, it's we don't really have another partner. Might be an option near Symons with the campus redevelopment, but we have to kind of get on the county's list. This is something that we're interested in. We would this would be something again. The donor wanted us to come up with at least $100,000 to match their $200,000 to put in a $300,000 playground. So we would have to go out and do some fundraising that way.
Who would help maintain this playground?
Well, this would be Simon, it would basically be another Simon's facility, so Simon's staff would maintain it, because it's a forward place rubber surfacing, that's the big maintenance issue on playgrounds. It's just replacing that, so with that, there's a 20-year warranty on those things, so basically that takes away the surfacing thing. So it's basically just, usually what we do for playgrounds is at the beginning of the season in the spring sometime, we'll do a full audits where we'll just check the chains, we'll check the connections and everything, make sure there's no issues that way. And then typically once a week on other traditional playgrounds, we'll go through once a week. We'll kind of do a lot of the inspections, which a lot of it is usually through surfacing, because it's usually loose surfacing, loose fill surfacing, like bark or sand or that type of thing. We usually have to fill in those holes. And that's where most of the maintenance happens. With an inclusive playground like this, there's very little maintenance that would be due on it, especially the first 10 years or so. But that would be something that we would be able to handle with Simon's staff. Again, it's not even $300,000. It's a pretty small playground. It sounds like a lot of money, but it's very little. The surfacing itself will cost at least half that, $150,000 just for the surface now. It's a smaller playground.
Would this usage be compatible with those grant restrictions that we have to live with from when the tennis courts were built?
So this is one thing that could replace the tennis courts is, basically we did get permission from the National Park Service that we can remove the tennis courts. We don't have to replace tennis courts. It just has to be available for public recreation. So as long as it's outside, we can't put it in. So playground, it could be just green space with picnic tables. They're pretty open to any of that, so it could be.
Playground with some picnic tables next to it.
Yeah, and that's kind of like in that one, like in the map that was included. So if you see the option A, that's a little bit, so that's actually north of the tennis courts, where the tennis courts are, and that could be right on the tennis courts even. It's put north of the tennis courts because just with the so that gets it off of the grant restriction. There is a little bit of a time issue with getting approvals on these with the grant. And just with the transfer, I know the school district really wants this transfer to kind of go through before the start of the new school year. And part of that is the soccer field and the tennis courts. Well, basically the soccer field, but the tennis courts and the soccer field are connected under this grant. So the soccer field always has to stay open space, which is floodplain anyway, so there's really not much that would happen with it. The tennis courts have to remain public green space as well. That's out of the floodplain, but that can be open to a lot of different options. But because they're both connected under the grant, so the county can't, for example, the county can't sell the soccer field to the school district, but not the tennis courts because they go together. Unless we convert the tennis courts with other space, and that's a whole topic. So there is this kind of time thing where if we wanted to put playground where the tennis courts are, that might take a little time if we can transfer this property to school anyway. Talked to Steve a little bit about that, and yeah, he's more interested in getting this deal done. So if that means that they have to take the tennis courts, they're not necessarily interested in that property. But if they have to take that just to get this deal done, and then down the road, they could work with the county or the city or whoever to, put something in there that's gonna work with that development if housing's going in there, maybe a park or something like that, or a playground. They're interested in that, so that's where that's kind of attractive. Plus, that's a more visible area, which you really like because you can see it there. If you put in the option B, you're stuck behind those buildings, and that's if we're putting in the first inclusive playground here, even though this might just be phase one or just might be a smaller one, it's the only one in the county, so you kind of want to show it off a little bit. You can see it because this inclusive playgrounds do attract people from outside the community. When we put our first one in Baraboo, before we did, people were driving outside of Baraboo and Reedsburg or Madison to go to this playground if they can't play on our playgrounds. We put ours in, and other communities started to come to Baraboo, so they'll drive half hour away just stuff. So if they've got a kid that can't play on their playground in their community, they're going to drive 30 to 45 minutes to get their kid to that playground. And they're going to stop on their way out to Culver's or whatever and quick trip and spend some money in your community too. So.
Anything else? So what do we need?
Basically, just need to know if you guys want, us to work on or continue to work with this donor or with the county and the school district on getting an inclusive playground in here. We can work on that. Work on first making sure that we have space for it on the road. Doesn't mean it's going to happen anytime soon, but we need to make sure that we have the space so that the county knows that before they start planning other. So if it's an idea that you're not interested in, it's certainly something that might work better in a city park. I don't know, or a different county park. Certainly that way too. So this is a good location because of the population center being here, and because potentially we could have some housing developments going up here, so that kind of makes sense where it'd be nice to have some playground equipment in this area. But at the same time, there might be other places where you think this $200,000 gift could be spent more, or maybe you don't even want to accept it. That's fine.
Make a motion one way or the other.
Make a motion that we continue discussions with the donor and the school district to see if it's viable to make it happen.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Member correspondence? Anybody have anything? Future agenda items? Anything that somebody wants to see dealt with? If not, motion for adjournment.
So moved.
We have a second. Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
See you all Wednesday.
We'll be there.
Thank you.
What is the time on that?
For 4 to 8 p.m.
40.